Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 2, my top running backs, numbers 1 through 24, my running back rankings for your season-long fantasy football leagues. If you have a start-sit question, it's as simple as looking at this list. Should I play this guy or this guy? Well, play the one that's ranked higher. It's that simple. You guys are used to the main channel where I go over a lot of daily fantasy information. We look at DraftKings and the lineups and the ways that we can probably make better tournament lineups for the week, but I know that everybody plays season long as well, and people have asked for my rankings for years and years, and I finally have the fantasy football channel to provide that sort of content for you guys. So without any further ado, let's go.
He's a legend.
The Week 2 Smiz Gang Listener League is up. It is a $10 entry fee, 3 max, and it has 4,000 entries. That's $40,000 in prizes to hand out. 4,000 to first, and the best part is it's absolutely no rake. Go to smizzle.tv/links. It'll have the link for you to the Listener League as well as everything else. Our community Discord, all of my socials, the Listener League, the charity drive that we're doing right down below here for No Kid Hungry all season long. Everything is right there at smizzle.tv/links. And make sure that you join the Listener League. If we don't fill it, they're going to make it smaller in week 3, and like nobody wants anything to be made smaller, so just join the league. My number 1 running, let's go fast through the like you guys know who these guys are. Like when we get to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 1 on the week is going to be Jonathan Taylor. He had about 7,000 yards rushing in week 5. He had 161 yards rushing in week 1 and a touchdown, 35 touches, 38 opportunities, 31 carries and 7 targets, leading to 35 touches, a touchdown, 30.5 fantasy points. Christian McCaffrey is my number 2. There's no way. There's absolutely no way Christian McCaffrey is only going to get 14 touches per game or 14 opportunities per game in this Carolina. It's just not going to work, okay? It's not going to work, Baker. You can't do it. Wake up, dude. Throw the ball to your best player, and that's Christian McCaffrey. And then you can go downfield to Robbie or over the short and intermediate to DJ Moore or anybody else. But everything starts and stops with Christian McCaffrey doing what he does to occupy the safeties and the linebackers. So they need to pepper him with more targets moving forward. Austin Eckler is next on a Thursday night affair. Love him in any situation, like him more because of the absence, or I'm assuming the absence of Keenan Allen in that game. Saquon Barkley is my number 4. Been on him all off season. People didn't want to draft him because he'd missed most of the last 2 years. Guess what, guys? He's back. 25 opportunities in week 1, 18 carries, 7 targets, resulting in 36.4 fantasy points in week 1. He's my number 4 running back in a great spot against those Carolina Panthers, who cannot seem to stop the run as they gave up roughly 506 yards rushing. Don't fact check that. It's against Cleveland last week, where like Kareem Hunt ran for 7 touchdowns and Nick Chubb ran for like 600 yards from scrimmage. It was sick. So now they get Saquon Barkley. So no rest for the weary in Carolina. Derrick Henry, the big dog, is next up for me. Didn't have a big first week. Really didn't. Disappointed against the Giants as he saw another running back, Hilliard, go for a couple of touchdowns through the air. Just throw the ball to Derrick Henry, guys. You're overthinking it. Throw it to him like 4 times a game. That's it. That's all you need. If you guys are still here, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Got 6 videos coming out a week here on the Fantasy Football channel. Don't want you to miss any of them. So the key is to ring that notifications bell as well. Those 3 things, like, subscribe, ring the bell, help the channel in more ways than you can actually imagine. It costs you absolutely no money. It's 3 clicks. You won't even get carpal tunnel. I promise. Number 6, Joe Mixon. Coming off of a massive week that people didn't really recognize as a massive week because all the shine was on Jamar Chase, and for good reason. Jamar Chase is amazing, but like, do you realize how absurd 36 running back opportunities are? 27 carries and 9 targets for Joe Mixon. Now they're 6.5 point favorites against Dallas, who's playing without their starting quarterback. If they play from ahead, Cincinnati aspires to be a running the football team, and they pass the ball less than expectation in neutral game script situations. So what's going to happen when they're ahead? They're just going to run the ball even more. They showed you in week 1 how much they want to give Joe Mixon work. He is the main guy right now, and they are going to continue feeding him the rock. So use that as you will. Dalvin Cook right behind him. Look, Dalvin Cook is fine. I wasn't really thrilled with the first week, but it was everything. It was the Justin Jefferson show, as it's going to be most weeks. But like Dalvin Cook wearing a new number didn't really blow up, but I like the volume and I like the opportunity. And he has much better numbers running out of like a single back formation and that's what they're running this year. So expect better days from Dalvin Cook moving forward. Leonard Fournette looked really good in week 1 until that game got out of hand late. He was basically on the field for every touch. 21 carries for 127. Rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated. Got 2 targets in a neutral game script where they're not winning, right? They were up like 12-3. Then they scored a touchdown. Like, Fournette's going to be a monster this year as long as he's healthy and in this offense. In the absence of Chris Godwin, who is now out for multiple weeks for re-aggravating his leg, they rushed him back too soon. They should have let him rest a couple weeks. It is what it is. But Fournette's going to see an increased target market share moving forward. That takes us to DeAndre Swift, my number 9 running back on the week. Didn't get the goal line carries in week 1. He got 1, but like, they brought in Jamal Williams. That's what kind of keeps him down here, because the rest of it was phenomenal. Involved in the passing game, 50-yard run, 9.6 yards per carry. He is going to be at the center of everything that this Lions team does. So I do like him, and I have to play him at 9 ahead of Nick Chubb, who is in one of the best spots that there could be this week running against the New York Jets, coming off of a 22 attempt 141-yard game where he did run another 25-yard run. Like, very few guys are as good as Nick Chubb or Jonathan Taylor at big splash runs. Saquon Barkley fits in that group as well, when healthy, as being able to bust off these 25 to 70-yard runs. That's just a part of his skill set. Most people, you'd say, well, he can't keep doing that. But like, some guys, they can keep doing that. They're outliers, and that's what Nick Chubb is. However, because of the lack of usage in the passing game for him, or at least lack of consistent usage in the passing game, Nick Chubb comes in at my RB10 behind guys like DeAndre Swift and Leonard Fournette, who I would typically have above somebody like him, but I can't do that if they continue to not play him for like 70% of the snaps, as well as not play him on every snap when they get close to the goal line. Nick Chubb needs more love from this coaching staff. However, they're going to run the ball a ton because of their quarterback situation with Jacoby Brissett under center. So it's going to keep him up here in my top 10 running backs. James Conner is right behind him. Love the usage for him. Everything that you want, right? Every one of these guys is a potential 4-box guy where his teams should be playing from ahead. They get goal line work. They should have 20 plus touches and opportunities. They are involved in the passing game, and then whether or not they're playing at home to fill out that 5th box. James Conner comes in at number 11. Right now I have Alvin Kamara as my running back 12 on the week. This can totally change if he is injured. So like, they're saying that he's nursing an injury. However, they signed Latavius Murray today. You don't do that unless you're worried that Alvin Kamara won't play. So I've got him as my number 12, but like, he is a candidate to drop as the week goes along. If he starts missing practices, or they're going to minimize him or sit him for a week against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, a team that you don't really want to run against, but Alvin Kamara, primarily a pass catching back who runs the ball sometimes, maybe 10 to 12 times, 14 times a game. And then they throw him the ball a ton when they play against the Buccaneers. So that's really the route that I would go is, look, right now, I have to rank him where I'm going to rank him. And then as things move along, we'll move him beyond that. Coming to my running back number 13, it's Javonte Williams. Now, I could have ranked him lower, right? I could have. And I'm taking a leap of faith on Javonte for a couple of reasons. Okay, we talked about this in the quarterbacks ranking video about how Coach Hackett stepped in some dog poo. We get it. Now wash it off and let's move forward. In the first half of this game, Javonte Williams outsnapped and outtouched Melvin Gordon like 3-1. That's a 75-25 split for those of you who are wondering. I thought that this was going to be a 55-45 or a 50-50 split between the two. And then the second half, it like switched completely. And when Melvin Gordon ended up being like 50-50, they just need to give the ball to Javonte Williams. I'm giving him one more week. They got to figure it out. He was so effective in that first half. And then the second half, he ends the game with like 10 catches on 11 targets. First half, he had like 6-7 yards per carry and looked explosive and dangerous on every single touch. And in the second half, they're like, we don't need to go with that anymore. Go with that more. Yeah, I would go with that a lot more. Number 14, Antonio Gibson. All signs were extremely positive. Got more targets and caught more passing yards than he ever had before. Obviously, the Brian Robinson Jr. situation is horrible. The kid had beaten out Antonio Gibson, but Antonio Gibson finally was used in week 1 against Jacksonville the way that we've always wanted him to be used. If that maintains, awesome. So he's my number 14 on the week. Aaron Jones falls to number 15 this week. he didn't even have as many targets as AJ Dillon did in week 1. So like, I can't rank him higher. We kind of thought that there was a chance that he was going to take over a lot more of the passing role on this team. He didn't. And AJ Dillon was a threat. We knew that he could catch balls based on what we saw last year when Aaron Jones was out. So like, the fact is, oh, they're just going to pound it with the one and just throw it to the other. I thought AJ Dillon would have like 4 targets and Aaron Jones get like 6 to 10 every single week, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just 1 week. Maybe it's recency bias. We'll find out, but I can't rank him higher than 15 until that happens. I do have him ahead of Najee Harris here in week 2. Harris is my running back, 16 on the week. Really bad offensive line, but like so much volume that it just kind of makes up for it. And there's nothing that you have to, volume is the key. Volume is number 1 all the time. Darrell Henderson is my running back, 17 this week at home as 10-point favorites against Atlanta. And with Cam Akers established in the doghouse and was apparently going to run behind Kyron Williams, who injured himself early in the game, like this would be unquestionably Darrell Henderson Jr.'s spot. Right now, it's going to be like 70%, 75% Henderson Jr. in as good a spot as you're going to find at home against a team where they plan to be ahead. And when they're ahead, they're just going to run the hell out of the football. If he can score a first half touchdown, there's a chance that he ends this game with multiple touchdowns with as much work as he should theoretically get in the second half. Right now at running back 18, I'm going to take a flyer here. I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson on the 49ers, another massive favorite at home, coming off of a really bad week 1, right? So this was a spot where this is a team that played on the road and got upset. Now they're playing against a team coming off of a massive win at home and going on the road in Seattle. San Francisco 9-point favorites, and Elijah Mitchell is out, which means next man up. And right now the next man up is Jeff Wilson. Now they signed Marlon Mack off of the practice squad for the Houston Texans. We'll see how quickly they can get him up to speed and into that offense. They need depth, obviously, but right now Jeff Wilson's the next man up. As soon as Mitchell left the game, Wilson did fine. 9 carries, 2 of those were inside the 5 carries, and got 2 targets. They're not afraid to just plug him in and play with him, and right now he's the guy, so we're going to go with him. Not a long-term answer, but you don't always need Mr. Right. Sometimes you just need Mr. Right now when it comes to your running backs, and Jeff Wilson for the 49ers is Mr. Right now. AJ Dillon right behind him at running back 19. As I said, tons of targets, going to get a lot of work for this Green Bay Packers offense. Behind him, Cordarrelle Patterson as my RB20 on the week. Cordarrelle, I don't want to see him carrying the ball a million times. 22 carries for 120 yards was great against New Orleans. 5 targets. I would rather they ran him like 10 to 15 times and threw him the ball 5 to 10 times. That would be the ideal usage for somebody like Cordarrelle Patterson. Give him the Alvin Kamara role. Give him the Christian McCaffrey role. You don't need to run him. He's a converted wide receiver. Use him catching the football. Get him the ball in space, let him do his thing, and let him operate. He did have 25.6 DraftKings points in week 1. So, like, clearly he was effective, but, like, not really what we're looking for in terms of what we want from that usage from him. However, they were playing from ahead, so obviously they're going to run and ride their horse. That's what they're going to do. Number 21 is Kareem Hunt. I don't love it, but, like, he's getting enough usage to make it worthwhile. He is what he is. Very talented running back. But 15 opportunities here. They turned into 1 rushing touchdown and 1 passing touchdown. 4 targets, 11 carries. Got you 70 yards from scrimmage. There's upside here because it's the Jets, and they are a team that does project to give their running backs 40-plus touches a game every single game. So a role is there to be carved out. And the guys that are behind him, 2 of them have like a heavy volume role, but like not as heavy as you would think. So getting to that, Josh Jacobs is next for me on the list. Jacobs coming in as my running back 22. He got 11 touches in week 1. That's not great. Granted, they were losing. You're dealing with a team where you have a coach that is coming from the New England system and doesn't want to run running backs the way that Jacob was run before, where basically he's getting like 80% of the snaps and touches. They're going to use somewhat of a committee with Abdullah. They're going to get Zamir White involved there. So like Jacobs at home and favored against Arizona, who just got throttled at home against Kansas City. I'm not saying that the Raiders are going to do to them what Kansas City did to them, but at least there's a possibility that as bad as that Arizona defense does project to be, they lost a lot of key pieces over the summer. They weren't great last year, and then they lost some of their best players. So this is a defense that can be taken advantage of, and that's why I have Jacobs here at 22. At 23, we have Rashad Penny from Seattle. Penny looked really good on Monday night. He really, really did. And as long as Ken Walker is out, Penny is going to just be the guy. He caught 2 balls last night, which was encouraging. Has as many as he caught in a game all last season with his fantastic run-in. Only had 12 carries for 60 yards, but looked spry every time that they did run him. You can't lean on Geno as much as they were trying to lean on Geno. The first half it worked. In the second half, Geno just couldn't move the ball. Luckily, Seattle ended up winning that game. But they're going to have to be a running and defense team, which is really what the gum chewer wants, right? Pete Carroll wants to chew gum and run the football, and he's never out of gum. So, like, he's just going to do both. Rashad Penny, my running back 23 on the week. And then running back 24, this is one that's going to surprise some people, I think. I've got Michael Carter in this spot. Granted, look, Cleveland is a good defense. They're playing at home, but, like, we're at the running back 24 spot. They gave us signs all summer long, right? Everybody thought it was going to be Breece Hall. Breece Hall was being drafted in like the 40s in terms of ADP. Michael Carter was at like 140 on ADP. There should never have been a 100 pick gap between those two running backs. And then in camp, they said this is going to be a 50-50 split and Michael Carter is going to be the lead dog. He did. He was that in week 1, 19 opportunities. 10 attempts on the ground, 9 targets. Those are extremely valuable. And considering this team is going to be playing from behind, has offensive line issues right now, right? It's a piecemeal offensive line and is playing with Joe Flacco, a quarterback. They're going to continue dumping the ball off to these running backs a lot. There's value in that. The touchdown upside is going to be tough, but a long catch of 11 yards, a long run of 22 yards for Michael Carter. There is some big play explosiveness out of this guy in this offense, and Cleveland is a defense that can give up big plays, even though on a per play basis, they do very well. So solid floor because of the fact that they're going to be playing from behind, and he should get targeted a ton. I like Michael Carter in this spot. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.